Stop! Don't crucify me in the comments yet! I know the title said that Miles Morales doesn't work as a character or whatever, but just hear me out. It's not what you think. We all know Miles' story. Much like Peter Parker, Miles Morales had an aptitude for science and was bitten by a genetically modified spider. But Miles chose not to use his powers until, after witnessing Peter Parker's heroic sacrifice and failing to act, Miles finally understood the concept that with great power comes great responsibility. It's a beautiful story where the cycle of Spider-Man's origin continues on. And surprisingly, this story worked. Most fans were ready and willing to accept Miles as their ultimate Spider-Man. So, why am I saying that Miles Morales doesn't work as a character? Well, first off, I want to clarify. When I'm talking about Miles Morales isn't working as a character, I'm only talking about Miles in the comics. Both the Spider-Verse movies and the Insomniac games have adapted Miles in unique and interesting ways that work for the character, but we'll delve into that later. The Miles Morales in the comics is different. When Miles Morales first appeared, he was not part of the main Marvel 616 universe. He was part of the 1610 universe, the ultimate Marvel universe. This was another Marvel imprint where basically anything could happen. The writers had creative freedom and could talk about whatever they wanted and change whatever they wanted. They weren't bound by continuity. And Miles was one of the many experiments that was done to see what would work, and he was possibly the only one that succeeded in the long term. However, Miles Morales first appeared as Spider-Man in 2011, but by 2015, the Marvel multiverse was coming to an end. Yes, the multiverse. Universes were colliding together and destroying one another, and the final two remaining? The main Marvel Universe 616 and the 1610 Ultimate Universe. As the final two universes collided, Miles was able to escape certain death with some other heroes aboard this raft, but when they exited the raft, they found themselves on this strange new world that was cobbled together from pieces of the multiverse and ruled by none other than Dr. Doom! This was the Secret Wars event, and of course soon all the heroes found themselves facing off against Dr. Doom to reignite the multiverse. What does this have to do with anything? Well, Doom had this reality warping guy, Molecule Man, working for him at the time, basically shaping the world in Doom's image, and Molecule Man was pretty hungry from all his hard work. So when Miles and Peter Parker bumped into Molecule Man in this weird void world, and Molecule Man's like, "Ugh, I'm so hungry." Miles remembers that he has a month-old cheeseburger in his pocket, and he offers it to Molecule Man. Molecule Man eats it up, and as a thank you to Miles, Molecule Man rewrites all of Miles' history so that Miles had always existed in the main Marvel universe. And Miles still remembers the Ultimate Universe, but now he exists in the main Marvel universe. You might not think this is a big deal, but it actually created a few major problems for Miles. First off, when Molecule Man rewrote all of Miles' history, it basically undid a whole number of storylines that had lasting effect on Miles' life, such as the death of Miles Morales' mother. This created a cycle of basically when bad things happen to Miles, they don't often have lasting consequences, and it makes things feel less important. It also kind of undercuts the whole Ultimate Universe experience that we went through with Miles as a character. Secondly, Miles Morales, who once looked up to Peter Parker as his own Uncle Ben, is now living blocks away from Peter Parker. This opened up the opportunity to create a mentor-mentee relationship between the two, kind of like in the Insomniac games, and there would be a ton of new stories to tell with that. However, this never happened. Although the two Spider-Man live mere minutes apart, the duo rarely team up. Yeah, they see each other in big events and sometimes they talk to one another, but it's not like the mentor-mentee relationship that people wanted. Like, even when Miles was abducted and went missing for a month, Peter Parker was nowhere to be found, and his books didn't have anything about where's Miles, whatever. In fact, it seems like Marvel might have mandated some sort of editorial thing where these two characters can't be in a mentor-mentee relationship, probably to keep Peter looking young, but that's not confirmed. Moving Miles to the main 616 universe also took away some of the uniqueness of Miles. I mean, he was in a universe where he was the only Spider-Man and he had to live up to the legacy of Peter Parker, but also anything could happen. Writers had creative freedom over the story choices and there was no continuity to live up to, so you never knew what Miles' story was going to have next. Now Miles lives in a universe that is oversaturated with spider people and stories are mandated. And the stories Miles gets are oftentimes rehashing old Peter Parker Spider-Man storylines, or they're storylines where it seems odd that Peter Parker isn't involved. Like, when Miles got abducted, it was Iron Man who started kind of investigating what happened to Miles, not Peter Parker. These aren't even all the examples. I mean, I haven't even touched on the fact that now we have two characters who call each other Spider-Man in conversation, and that can be kind of confusing. But these are just some of the major changes that have really hurt Miles as a character. I mean, look how other media has handled Miles. Both the Insomniac universe and the Spider-Verse multiverse has pushed Miles and Peter closer together, creating that mentor-mentee bond, and they each actually did it in a unique way that's interesting. In Spider-Verse, Miles once again inherits the mantle of Peter Parker after witnessing Peter Parker's death, but he finds a mentor relationship from another Peter Parker who's only in his universe for a temporary amount of time, but is able to teach Miles the lessons about being Spider-Man. Having this relationship be temporary allows Miles to learn the lessons of being Spider-Man, but also remain independent. The Insomniac universe creates a more permanent mentor-mentee relationship between Peter Parker and Miles Morales. Instead of Peter being Miles' Uncle Ben, he's his main mentor, guiding him through the lessons of what it means to be Spider-Man and trying to make him into a better Spider-Man. Kind of like what Batman did for Dick Grayson. And Miles' Uncle Ben in this universe is, instead of Peter, his father, but Peter's able to be there to help Miles grieve. Both of these universes are able to adapt a relationship between Miles Morales and Peter Parker in a beautiful way. One way emphasizes Miles' independence and the importance of Peter Parker to his life. The other shines a light on Miles and Peter's relationship and how well they work together. But in the current comics, Marvel refuses to acknowledge this, so Miles is a failure. Once again, don't get me wrong, it's not his fault. Miles is an amazing hero with a fantastic, beautifully written backstory, but he's trapped in this negative zone between being Peter Parker's mentee and being his own independent Spider-Man, and that's just not a good place for him. Marvel needs to decide what they want to do with Miles, either make him Peter Parker's mentee or give him back his universe where he can once again shine as the ultimate Spider-Man. I guess they could also move him to a different city or something. You get the